In this video, I'm going to be talking about my next YouTube studio camera purchase, whether it's going to be the Sony a7C Mark II or the Lumix S5 IIX. Here's the story. So I've used a few different cameras for my YouTube studio setup over the years, and currently I'm shooting with the A7S III, but that's not really working for me right now because that is a camera that I use on my professional video production shoots, and every time I want to use that camera, I have to either pack it up and then have it ready to go out on a shoot, or set it up in my YouTube studio to be able to record a video like this. And you might be thinking, well, that doesn't sound like a really big deal, but over time, if I'm always constantly setting up a camera and packing it up and using them for two different things, things can go wrong. Settings on the camera can change and batteries can not be charged. So these are little annoyances that I don't really want to have to deal with when I'm arriving on set or setting up the camera for a YouTube video like this. So having a permanent camera in my YouTube studio is the solution for me, at least. And I'm really happy with the A7S III, but it is a bit overkill for a permanent YouTube studio camera in my opinion. It's got great image stabilization, it's got dual card slots, and it can shoot 120 frames per second in 4K. But that is overkill for what I need for this YouTube studio. So I've been looking for a camera that ticks all the boxes that I need for a YouTube studio camera and is also at a competitive price. And I've landed on the Sony a7C Mark II and the Lumix S5 IIX. All the cameras that I currently use are Sony cameras, so going with another Sony camera is a bit of a no-brainer for me. But because this camera is going to live in the YouTube studio, I'm not too worried about going to another brand and having to purchase another lens because that camera system will live in this YouTube studio. The main concern is features and price. And right now the A7C Mark II is a little bit more expensive than the Lumix S5 IIX. However, the lenses that I'm looking at purchasing are a little bit cheaper on the Sony side than they are on the Lumix side. Now I can go with more expensive Sony lenses, but I am looking at getting the cheaper alternatives that will still do what I need for this YouTube studio. So that is one of the main things that is making me lean a little bit more towards the A7C Mark II. The Lumix S5 IIX does have a few features that are interesting to me, like OpenGate, recording ProRes, and also being able to record to external SSDs. And although OpenGate is a cool idea, I don't know if I really will use it that much in this YouTube studio setting. And I do believe that camera does also have a tally light, which could be handy for videos like this, but I am using a monitor right now and it has a big red record bar around the corners. So that does help me know that I am recording. So the main features that I need in my camera are 4K 25p. I need it to have minimal lens breathing as well. So with the Sony camera, I can use lens breathing compensation with the lenses that I will be purchasing. With the Lumix S5 IIX, I'll have to be a little bit more careful on the lenses that I choose for that system because they don't have lens breathing compensation as a feature inside that camera. But I did find that the Lumix 24mm f1.8 does have minimal focus breathing, so I would be looking at getting that lens for this YouTube studio setup. I do want to get a 24mm lens because right now I'm using the Sony 24-70 f2.8 at 2.8, but also around about 28mm. So a 24mm prime lens is what I'm looking at having as the permanent lens on my permanent camera. I also want to be able to bake LUTs into the footage so I don't have to worry about color grading in post. And I also want to be able to run audio from my MixPre 3 into the camera so I don't have to worry about syncing audio in post as well. All these things are to speed up my workflow and to make it easier and quicker to create these YouTube videos. And the camera has to be reliable and not overheat. And that's one of the main reasons that I have steered away from cameras like the Sony ZV-E1 because of all the horror stories that I hear about overheating. Yes, I'm sure there are some people that use the camera in warm environments and record for long periods of time and it doesn't overheat. However, I've heard too many stories of people recording for short periods of time in temperatures that are a little bit maybe higher than usual, and then the camera overheats. So that's a deal breaker for me, and I don't really want to have to worry about using external fans to keep the camera cool. That's just an extra piece of equipment that could fail, and I'd rather just have a camera that has a great reputation of not overheating. And to my knowledge from the research that I've done, the A7C II and the Lumix S5 IIX are both great cameras that are reliable and won't overheat when I'm doing long duration recordings. And I don't record super long videos in here for my YouTube videos like this. However, I am doing a podcast where we can be talking for anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes. And if the camera overheats in any of that time, that's going to be a deal breaker. So it needs to be reliable, it needs to not overheat. And those are the main features that I need for my YouTube studio camera setup. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? Am I making the right decision going with the Sony? Or should I reconsider and think about using the Lumix S5 IIX? Is there anything I've overlooked? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. And here's my YouTube setup for today. We've got the Shure SM7B microphone as usual, going into a cloud lifter, which is then going into the Sound Devices MixPre 3. I am recording with the Sony a7S III, and that is attached to my combo stand with this clamp here and also this magic arm here as well. I'm a little concerned about the camera falling, so I have got a strap coming from Amazon today, so I'll be using that to tie to the camera and then tie to the combo stand, just in case for whatever reason the camera falls or tips or something like that. I am monitoring with my iPad Pro here using the Monitor Plus app. And one of the big changes for this setup is I'm using the Amaran 150C instead of using the Amaran 60X. This has the X-Lite 105 centimeter shallow softbox. And my backlight is the Amaran 60X here. It's on a C stand. And going over here for the backlight. Everything on the stand is plugged into this power strip, and that goes directly into the wall.